So I was saying that, we have planning and scheduling, cost control, risk management, change management. Um, but I think the most important thing is that you have an integrated project controls team, because um, if, if you have some of these disciplines working in silos and not talking, you can miss things and things can fall through the cracks. And the way we produce a cost-loaded schedule is to make sure that cost talks to planning and scheduling, and by having a cost-loaded schedule, we marry the budget with the schedule, and that's an important aspect. And the risk is in there with contingency. So I think that the backbone of any project is people. People build projects, not process or technology. So I always try to remember that. It doesn't matter how good your systems and tools are, if the people aren't right, well, there's going to be problems. But I'll provide this PowerPoint to Ahmed, and you can share it with everybody. But these are some of what I think are the roles and responsibilities for the different roles. So the project controls manager, covers those three disciplines, including change management. And they may look at doc control sometimes, depending on the project. But another role which is common in the industry is the project services manager. And I've done that role, and what I've done with that role is I've done the project controls plus the procurement and contract administration for the project as well. So I think that's a role that's common as well as this project controls manager as well. And then the subsets of project controls engineer, just the junior if you like, cost control engineer, planning engineer, and the project manager. And like I was saying, the project controls function is a subset of project management. It works alongside of construction management, engineering management, etc. So yeah, a lot of people, when they talk about project controls, they really mean cost control, but I think that is wrong. Project controls is three disciplines, but a lot of project controls managers are more heavily experienced in cost control. And so that's why I just included this slide. And I just wanted to draw your attention to the different types of cost control during design. So in the design phase, the cost control environment is very dynamic because you have to manage changing estimates and reporting that compared to a fixed budget potentially. As the design grows, so does the estimate. It will go up and down. And I think we're all perhaps experienced with project cost control during construction. You manage against the budget. Yeah, career in project controls. You definitely need to have a lot of good experience in at least one of the disciplines, and some reasonable experience in the other elements to be able to work effectively in project controls. In my mind, when I'm looking for project controls people, or a planner or a cost controller, if they've got an estimating background or they've got a little bit of understanding in cost or risk, they're an advantage because, like I said earlier, they'll be better able to integrate with the other disciplines if they have more than one of the elements of project controls. So yeah, if you can develop those skills, that's great. Once you've got a little bit of experience under your belt with one or two of those disciplines, what I like to do is, and what I've done as well, is try to get certified in a particular area. And so Like I said, I'm the chair of the Australian Cost Engineering Society, and you can now get chartered as a cost engineer through ACES. And we're looking to try to get chartered planning engineers as well, but that hasn't come through yet. And or you can get chartered as a leader and manager. So you don't necessarily need a particular discipline. Now, there are other institutions. There's the Project Management Institute, supplies a PMP, scheduling professional and so on. There's the Association of Advancement of Cost Engineering International, that's an American society, same with PEiA. And there's the Association of Project Management, that's a UK society. And so all of these, except for ACES, in direct sense, have certification. I think they're all pretty good. I like AACE, actually, but I think that if you're in Australia, the chartered status is probably the one to go for. I think in the next perhaps 5 years or less, there may be a move by, for reasons of government or insurance requirements, that only chartered engineers work on government projects. I think that that's coming. It's certainly the case in some states in Australia, but not New South Wales at the moment. I think that that will come in the future. And then just to finish up, I think, as I mentioned earlier, before certification, get a few years of experience under your belt, because that will help you appreciate the learnings more, and those certifications will be a lot easier. I teach at the University of New South Wales, and I teach in procurement and contract admin. I teach cost management, planning and scheduling, and I often get a lot of undergrads, just finishing their course, and they say, "Can you be a referee or give me a reference to go and do a master's?" And I say, "Sorry, I don't do that unless you've got 5 years experience." And some of the students get a bit upset with me, but that's what I think. But, obviously, some circumstances are different. You might have a student that just loves the theory. In that case, well, maybe that's fair enough. But I still think that experience is going to make your theory even better. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the project controls has come of age to Sydney and other capital cities, by the number of jobs that we can now get in project controls, but also in 2017 and 2019, I was involved in the organising through ACES, or the Australian Cost Engineering Society under Engineers Australia, the Risk and Project Controls conferences held in Sydney. And we're actually right now organising the Integrated Project Engineering Congress for Brisbane next year in May 2021. And that will include, again, risk and project controls, but we've also got involved other areas of Engineers Australia, the systems and asset people, and the College of Leadership and Management. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so yeah, if you want to participate, come on to this, join ACES, or the Australian Cost Engineering Society, or the Risk Engineering Society. That's another one, which is quite good, if you're interested. Now, questions?
If anybody has any question, they can raise hand, or they can unmute the speaker and they can ask.
I think Asif has asked a question. Asif, do you want to unmute and ask the question? Or I can do it for you. So Asif has asked, hi, is Prince 2 certification preferred if someone look for project controller position?
Yeah, I guess here in Australia, we recognise Prince 2. It's a European based certification, as PMI is, or PMP is a US based certification. I think they're both recognised, though I think in the future, I think the chartered status under Engineers Australia, if you're in Australia, that would probably be a better certificate to get. But nothing wrong with Prince 2 at all. I've never done the Prince 2, but I did get my PMP in 2005, I think. Yeah, so that was a while ago. Okay. Any other questions?
My name is Norman Khan. I just have a question. How you take change management as a part of project controls rather than a contract management or a commercial management thing?
So Leo, can you come a bit closer to the mic? Few
Sure.
participant has difficulty in hearing.
Okay. So yes, change management with regard to project controls is all about managing internal changes. You might be moving budget around. You might change work from one package to another. So you need to control that budget movement. There may be external factors that increases in scope or decrease in scope or change of scope. So that might be brought on by the client, by government regulations changing, etc. So those changes need to be managed, and it's best managed under project controls because, you know, we manage cost changes and we manage the cost, obviously, and we manage time changes. So when you change a scope item or you change a package or move it around, there may be time implications somewhere else. And so we need to be mindful of that. And then if you introduce new scope, you want to be able to review that from a risk point of view. Is there any opportunities or is there any threats? And assess whether you need any contingency for cost and time to be added to your budget and or schedule due to those changes. So yeah, I understand change management is a big subject, but we're talking about change management from a project point of view, not from a operating point of view, for example.
Leo, I had a quick question. Ahmed here. What are the benefits of joining ACES? And if ACES has planned anything for 2021 in terms of seminars or webinars, just like this one, and what would that plan look like?
Sure. I think, you know, I've been a member of ACES since 2016. It's, I think, number one, it's cheap. It's about $44 a year. You don't have to be a member of Engineers Australia to join ACES. And if you're a project controls person or a cost risk planning person, then you're joining a group that are like minds. So we all talk the same language. So I think that for me is, you know, why I joined. It's good for networking. And yes, ACES holds a lot of seminars, webinars, conferences, and we circulate papers that people write that are interesting, and you can learn from those. With COVID, we're finding that one of the positives out of COVID is that because we have several chapters, so there's a New South Wales chapter, a Queensland chapter, a Victorian chapter, and a Western Australian chapter. With COVID, now the seminars that are done by each of those chapters, we can broadcast them nationally, internationally. And so we're getting a lot more people participating. So that's really good. And yes, there is a program coming out the next year from ACES both nationally and by each chapter, each state. Yeah, that will be coming out shortly. So yeah, I think there are benefits, but you know, you can always get involved in the committee and be a bit more of an active member, or you can just attend the seminars and that.
Thanks, Leo.
All right. Well, like I said, I'll send this to Ahmed, the presentation, and by all means, if you've got any questions, you know, you can send me an email or hook
Can I
up.
ask one quick question?
Sure.
It's Imran.
Yep.
The question is regarding the tools. As you mentioned, there are many core areas like scheduling, cost, and risk as well, mainly. These three, what are the recommended tools in the Australian market? That's one thing. And second thing is what is the tool to integrate all these three areas?
That's Imran, that's utopia. We haven't got there yet. On the second question. Now, I think that different industries use different tools. I can only give you my experience in all my construction and project experience. I've always used Primavera as the planning and scheduling tool, though I have used Microsoft Project. I think that's come of age now, and there are other tools out there as Astra as a planning tool, which the defence industry uses, and there's several others that are quite good. There's the Tylos, which is a time change tool, which is good for mining projects and linear projects like rail and so on. So I think that if you can learn one, the others are fairly easy to pick up if you're you know, a professional planner, for example. Like I said, I like Primavera. I think it's one of the better tools, but there are other good tools around. Now with cost, there are many cost control software out there, and to be honest, there's good ones and there's bad ones, but there are also software that's suitable for small projects and not suitable for large projects, suitable for large projects and not small projects, suitable for portfolios. So depending on your project, depending on whether you have a portfolio to manage, there's many different software out there. And the same in risk, there's lots of different software out there. And so depending on how you manage risk as an organization or as a project, you know, those different software some are better, some are very good. Now, integrating all of that, there are a number of, not very many, but there's a few that claim to integrate, but to be honest, I haven't seen it done well yet. I think we should also remember the collaboration software, things like Aconex, the old Team Binder, I forget what it's called now. Is it? I can't remember now. But those collaboration software, I think, are very good from a project controls point of view. So you know, they shouldn't be forgotten about either.